This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
We're back again and thrilled to have you with us for another week here on the Weirdly Enough podcast. Remember to check out our website, weirdlyenough.com. We're on social media, just search for Weirdly Enough Podcast on Facebook. We're also Weirdly Enough PC on Twitter. Please hook up with us on Twitter. You can communicate with us. I guess what you generally do on Twitter. You can also email podcast@weirdlyenough.com. Do like and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those ones. You can find us, and we thank so many people do listen to us every week. Our stats are just going up and up, and it is great to see that. So thank you, and do keep listening, please. Anyway, so this sounds like the end of a program, and it's not. It's the start. And today I'm joined by Len Johnson. He's here to talk to us all about lizard people.
About lizard people?
Lizard people. Is this going to involve the word David Icke at any point?
It does, quite a lot of David Icke, yeah. But why not? Because it's...
was he the one that first came up with this lizard idea, or were there others before him?
It's been a bit of a... He was like the main guy that kind of popularised it.
Okay.
Put it that way. Now, there is a sceptical view, because he has been accused of nicking his ideas from the 1980s science fiction show V.
Okay.
Which was about like kind of alien lizard people who were looking to take over the world. But anyway, David Icke has an idea that they're like the secret rulers of the world, or like shapeshifting lizard people.
Yeah.
And he lists a really random collection of people, such as Queen Elizabeth, George W. Bush, the Clintons, and people like Boxcar Willie,
right? Okay.
And Chris Christopherson.
Was Boxcar Willie not a cartoon character?
He was like some sort of singer, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
He might have been in the country genre, and he thinks they're basically behind the Illuminati and things like that. Now, he had a 1998 book called The Biggest Secret, and it's described as being a key text.
Okay.
And again, you say the thing, it's like lizard fairy, like all these sort of things. It's a little show like this probably doesn't really do justice because it's a vast subject. But an interesting bit of statistics here. And in April of 2013, in America, the Public Policy Polling Institute conducted a poll about conspiracy theories like aliens, Paul is dead, and lizard people and things like that. But they found that 4% of Americans polled believe in lizard people.
Okay.
Where another 7% were unsure. So something like 12 million Americans actually believe that the world is run by lizards.
Lizards? Where did the lizards come from? Was it outer space? Or?
Well, we'll get into it. But Philip Bump, a lizard person scholar and writer at the Washington Post, found this, and it was quite an interesting statistic. But anyway, there's a handy guide where you can like find out if someone's a lizard person or not.
Okay, how do you do that?
So there's various tells, and I'll list them here. First one is green eyes.
Right, okay.
Good eyesight or hearing. Having red hair.
Rather small genitalia compared to a human.
Well, they are. That is actually in proportion. Yeah. That's what you mean. Maybe that's why.
Tiny one there.
Very tiny there. Where did you get that from?
This is from Wikipedia. It's an artist's concept comparing reptilians to humans.
It's like twice the size of like a normal bloke.
Yeah, but
like tiny.
Ding dong is.
Yeah. Can we say ding dong in this podcast?
I don't know.
Well, I suppose we're talking about the Marcus de Sade, so I suppose
last week.
Yeah. So yeah, I still don't understand how a musical track without words. What's that? An instrumental. How it can be about something if it's just music, but
it's funny how the thing that we were talking about. How many hours is in a week? 140 something?
Yeah.
That many hours ago is still so relevant in our minds. It's not like we record two of these back to back.
No, it's because we've got really good memories.
Oh, that's it, yeah. And we just live for the podcast.
We just, yeah. I've seen the video of that. it doesn't really give much away. It's like a young chap back in the day.
What,
with
Sadness,
like
the song?
with a big quill, kind of writing stuff and kind of thinking about things and then writing some more stuff. It doesn't really, do you know what I mean? It's very,
Yeah.
it doesn't really say. Well, I suppose like you don't really. Have you ever read one of his books? They're horrible.
No.
Not very. We'll put it this way: I wouldn't eat your dinner when I was having one anyway. Like Anyway, Green
Have
Eyes.
you read them? I imagine you have. So.
Well, I read 120 Days of Sodom.
Right.
And I got about halfway through and just was like, oh, I can't be annoyed with this anymore. It's just horrible. Like,
you wish it was only 60 days.
Yes, yeah. The first sort of week of Sodom was okay, and then I just kind of went too far with it. Like
I think Sodom.
It was like, come on, mate. Mark out said you're overdoing this. It's not that way. Yeah, it's all kind of
video. Yeah. It's not really
doesn't,
a video at all. I think it's something that somebody's mocked up.
No, that is the video. He's like thinking about that lassie and kind of writing stuff, and that's it. It's just, I don't know what it's all about. Like, so he's like a bit moody, like, and there's all these kind of, I don't know.
Stills from a movie or something.
Anyway, do you want to hear this list? Because we like to get this done before like the hate death of the universe. I do like.
Okay. Well, what's the list about? Sorry.
Right. So this is how you tell if someone in your life is a lizard person.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So green eyes.
Yeah.
Good eyesight or hearing. Having red hair. A sense of not belonging to the human race.
So the person themselves has a sense
of not belonging to the human race.
So they might know that they're a lizard.
Unexplained scars in the body.
Okay.
Love of space. I'm assuming that's like outer space.
Maybe the band from Wales in the 90s.
Yeah. Or
the female love the species. Yeah, all that.
I agree. Wait, band. I miss like, I don't like go off in tangents, but I'm just saying I miss proper bands.
People go on about that stupid Snow Patrol all the time, and then you listen to Ash and you think, now that was a Northern Irish band you could get behind.
But you say, do you ever hear the phrase "pearls before swine"?
Yes, of course.
I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I have a theory about human civilization, Western civilization, right? Do you know when I think civilization reached its absolute peak?
When?
Between the summer of 1996 and the summer of 1997. That's when the human race got to absolute peak, and it's been a rapid decline ever since then.
I remember I was 96 working in a factory. You remember that factory I worked in? And it's still just with halcyon days, even though it's this horrible repetitive task. Yeah. Do you know that you say if I was like transported, do you remember that thing with that boy that used to like leap into people's bodies? Scott Beluga. If I was transported into the body of somebody in the 90s, the only things I'd miss would be like smartphones and the internet. Yeah. Apart from that's like literally the only thing I'd miss. It was just better in those days. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm waxing nostalgic here. So anyway, another thing is unexplained scars in the body. Love of space and low blood pressure. So if you've got, I don't know if like one of those things, or you maybe need a combination. Icke's forums, because do you ever go on the David Icke website? No, I must say
it's worth it to look at the forums. Right,
is it davidicke.com?
Because in the forums there's like, it's the whole level of crazy, like, you know. There's other physical features that these punters in the forums reckon, like having a smile where bottom teeth show. So I'll try us now.
No, your top teeth.
Okay, smile. Well, we must be lizard people then.
Okay.
Eyes that change size, or eyes with abnormally sized pupils, and these are potential lizard person tells. UFO Chick, who is an avid contributor to the forums, explained that what makes lizard people is something you can't see. UFO Chick thinks it's about the soul inhabiting the body, not the physical body. What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's about the soul. I need to ask what UFO check minds with them.
Yeah.
Where do they come from? You're asking where they come from. Well, we think they come from the constellation Drago, but there's some people think they may come from Sirius and Orion, so they're basically aliens.
Okay.
Drago is a constellation that's apparently shaped like a dragon, and as the Latin name is Draconum, which means huge serpent. Reptiles from Drago are thought to be very tall and have retractable wings. Like that chop with the you saw on Wikipedia there, very big chop. Now the theory is that these people have been visiting Earth since ancient times and breeding with humans, which results in more lizard people. There's just a website called understandingevil.com.
Okay.
Right, so if you want to understand evil, you need to check out understandingevil.com.
Well, lizard people are all evil, are they?
Apparently
by
so.
nature?
I think that's a bit racist, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it describes how to tell if you're under assault by reptilian. A contributor to the website alienufos.com who calls himself protector of mankind.
Okay.
It's very modest. Protector of mankind. He says that you can be a human alien reptilian hybrid. But basically, not know it. So basically, thousands of years ago, these punters from Orion, Sirius, and or Draco, they intervened on planet Earth and began interbreeding with humans. Now they didn't have relations with humans as such; it was manipulating the DNA. And Icke says it's no coincidence that humans have fundamental reptilian genetics within their brain.
Right.
And there's two types of these famous reptilians: hybrids and purebloods. The hybrids are an alleged crossbreed between humans and full-blooded reptilians who are too few in number to take over the planet. So they cloak their identity and they manipulate the world leaders behind the scenes. And there's a hierarchy, according to and the full-bloods or Dracos are at the top, and they control the hybrids who are unaware they're even reptilian, so they don't know they're reptilians.
Yeah.
So you got the purebloods at the top, and then the hybrids, and then the rest of us. The world's most influential political figures are of the hybrid ilk, prime ministers, bankers, etc., etc. And some believe that there's reptilian celebrities, and he thinks things like the CIA, etc., are controlled by them. And in The Biggest Secret, he has a whole chart of us, and he hones in on the bloodlines of a family called the Merovingians.
Right.
The Merovingians, who you may have, if you've ever read Dan Brown novels, I believe he gets into that. You know, Dan Brown, the thing. A central connection of French nobility, and it links ancient Egyptian pharaohs and Roman emperors, and they descend into the royal family and US presidents and stuff. But he's got a whole chart and The Biggest Secret. He also points out the Old Testament, in which there's a relation. There's a reference to the Nephilim, who are the fallen ones, and that ties into this idea of like the reptilians, and they're described as like fallen angels, but he says they're really like aliens that have come down through space. And he says there's evidence of this, like for example, they found a statue of a reptilian goddess cradling its offspring in ancient Sumer, which would have been like modern Iraq. Ancient Egypt has Apep, which is a serpent deity that embodies chaos and opposed light. And in the Mexico, there's Quetzalcoatl, who was like the Aztec god, which was a flying feathered reptile god who created the cosmos. And also Indian religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism, talk about something called the Naga, which is a human snake hybrid demigod that are potentially dangerous to humans. Now, you see, on the subject of like reptilian celebrities and things like that, have you ever seen online, there's all these videos of people shapeshifting?
I've never seen a video
There's
of
a
shapeshifting.
ton of these things.
Right? Okay.
There's one that popped up recently, and it was an old one of what's the name of the guy? It was Robert Patterson, who was in the Twilight films, and there's maybe if you type in Robert Patterson shapeshifting, it might come up. And now some people says it's just like effects on a video, but some people say it's like evidence of Patterson shapeshifting.
Right.
So there'll probably be stuff online. It's a weird stuff. There was an infamous one recently. with Justin Bieber. He's come up on this sort of thing a few times. There's a case in Australia, and a newspaper called Perth Now reported on this with a headline reading hundreds of fans claim they saw Justin Bieber turn into a giant reptile. And the story said that police being called upon by distressed fans who saw gross coloured scales all over Bieber's body.
Right.
The site had a very reliable source. It quoted a local skater unnamed, so it was a guy, local skater.
Yeah.
And he said he was just hanging around with this big guy, his bodyguard, I guess, and we were just staring because he kept turning into a huge reptile. His bodyguard was pointing at us, shouting that he'd kick our teeth in if we didn't put our phones away. And there's a big one in 2014. The Daily Dot published a story about Bieber's arrest that year, and it featured a video of Bieber in court, and it shows the pop superstar blinking like a lizard, and that clip of Bieber now has over 3 million views.
Wow.
So it kind of went viral, like, you know. Now recently there was a thing at an exhibition at London Photographers Gallery that was exploring conspiracy theories and the images that popularised them, and it was called Conspiracy Week, and there was a whole lot of stuff just looking into that, and there's a good quote here from Claire Gothic, who was the head of the exhibition, and she said, "They're spilling into the mainstream to an extent we've not seen. Now that anyone can pass on conspiracy theories to numerous others via the web, the potential for them to be disseminated has exploded exponentially." So there's like a whole ton of stuff.
So what's the difference between the Illuminati and the shapeshifting?
They apparently run the Illuminati.
Alright, okay. Yeah.
Icke calls them the Babylonian Brotherhood because they first came down to Earth and then to Babylonia. Yeah. And that's where they started sort of manipulating people's DNA, etc.
Strange.
And not only are people... There's a strange one as well. I don't know if it really comes under sort of the lizard people thing, but it's sort of in that area. I mean, there's a recent weird one. Did you see that one? Madonna did a TikTok video. That's right. Very reptilian. It became a bit of a thing on Twitter.
Is that recent picture of
very recent, and her eyes are all crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of surgery, perhaps, that has maybe gone wrong.
But it's weird. I mean, it's a pity this is a sort of an audio kind of thing, because there's a ton of kind of weird videos online. Yeah. With like alleged shapeshifting going on, and there's a now it's not really lizards, but it's kind of in that kind of thing of celebrities having kind of strange personalities. Have you ever heard of Sasha Fierce?
That's Beyonce's alter ego, isn't it?
Yes, Beyonce says she becomes someone else when she's on stage, and she's called her alter ego Sasha Fierce. Right. And she says, "I wouldn't like Sasha if I met her off stage." She says, "Oh no, she's too aggressive, too strong, too sassy, too sexy. I'm not her in real life at all. I'm not flirtatious and super confident and fearless like her." I mean, to be honest, I want to do a thing in the future about celebrities' mind control. Right, okay. And alters, that might kind of maybe fit more better into that. But yeah, I mean, it's just before we go, there's a thing, again, celebrities and lizards, but it's not an alternative kind of taking things, where Demi Lovato, who I don't think anyone alleges that she's a lizard, but she believes in lizards. Okay. As a conspiracy. Okay.
She pops up a lot.
Yes, she's kind of she pops up a lot on the show for some reason. She's big into Gaia, which
I don't
is
think you can call her she anymore, can you? You have to call her they.
Well, they are big into all things conspiracy.
Keep up, don't we?
Yes, and she's I'd say a Gaia ambassador, and Gaia is like a whole thing. Right. It's like a conspiracy theory, alternative, new age kind of website media kind of thing. But she's an ambassador to Gaia, and she's thrilled to be an Gaia ambassador. She's big into aliens, and she's big into the whole lizard people thing as well, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's a slightly different take on things. It's not that they reckon she's a lizard, but she's a celebrity that believes in lizards. So basically, yeah, if you're out and about in the next while, any listeners, and you see anybody shapeshifting, drop us a line. What's her email address? I can't remember.
Hey, Demi Lovato.
No,
ours podcast@weirdlyenough.com. Yeah, do get in trust if you've any photographic evidence of a lizard person.
Send it in and we'll stick it on the
videos of them shapeshifting.
The socials.
Indeed. We'll be back with our weirdly enough weird shorts just after this. You're listening to Weird Shorts, our weekly look at all the little weird stories that we didn't have time to put in the main part of the podcast, so we thought we'd chuck them in here. This podcast comes out on a Friday as well as being stuck on the end of the Monday podcast, so you can get it whenever, really. Anyway, this is first of all about the historic market town of Corsham in Wiltshire. It's been besieged recently by hooligans, but these Asbo louts aren't what you'd normally expect. They're a pair of chihuahuas. Local councillor Ruth Hopkinson has received several complaints, with numerous people reporting their pets have been bullied by the diminutive rabble-rousers, including a retired police German shepherd who's scared of them, apparently. Chihuahuas have been described as bloody Mexican hooligans.
Bit racist.
And the council is concerned about local livestock, especially now it's coming into lambing season, so keep your devil dogs under control.
Can I interject with a couple of points there?
Yeah.
You are a dog lover, it would be fair to say.
Yes.
So you have a reasonable knowledge of the attributes of different dogs.
I don't like wee ones. You know what I mean?
Breeds.
Yappy ones. No.
What's that all about? It's what I would call the Scrappy-Doo phenomenon of, you know, the horrible dogs that get on your wick. It's always these little guys, but the big ones tend to be quite nice. But what's that all about?
My big one's like, my dog weighs like 40 kilos.
Yes.
Pretty big. And you're out walking and you see this thing that's like not much bigger than a large rat going mental at this dog, and you think that dog is 10 times your size. It could kill you in an instant. Why don't you just walk past it quietly? It's like, but it's a certain type that have to have those yippy dogs.
Their owners are insufferable as well. They sort of laugh. It's like there's a well-known coffee chain that I would go to, and I was in one in a suburb of Belfast recently. Yeah, I was quite suddenly just trying to contemplate life, you know, just have a bit of coffee or whatever, and without fail there's a woman that comes in with like a herd of these yappy dogs, and they chase around the shop and go radio rental, and she's just got the smug face and laughing. I'm thinking, why don't you control your dogs? Why don't you control your dogs?
See those pugs? What are those?
And the only thing worse is the t-shirts. You know, do pugs not drugs and stuff? It's like very good.
Very good.
A quick observation as well. Do you know what's interesting about Corsham?
Corsham in Surrey, isn't it? Wiltshire. Sorry,
yeah, there is a vast government Cold War nuclear bunker down there.
Well, maybe that's getting into the heads of the bloody Mexican hooligans.
Could be, but yeah, that was one of those. That's where Boris would be if things go pear-shaped. He'll be going down to Corsham.
That's a really strange one I saw this week. National broadcasters in Australia, ABC, have been forced to apologise after how they edited footage that appeared to show the Governor General and Chief of the Navy enjoying a twerking dance. What? The dancers were part of a celebration to launch a new ship called the HMAS Supply. So they're launching a ship. The Navy, in their infinite wisdom, decide they're going to get girls to do a twerk dance.
Did nobody think that inappropriate?
Apparently, they wanted to get the local community involved, and there was this community dance group. So they brought these twerker dancers along. It was to give an informal sense of celebration. And the Prime Minister of Australia actually got involved in the hoopla, saying he was disappointed that the event was so misreported by the ABC. and the ABC were later forced to apologise for how they edited the footage. So they made it look like these governor generals and military types were watching and enjoying all these tours. It's just the weirdest thing.
Do you know what's missing in modern life?
What?
Gravitas.
Gravitas.
Has disappeared from public life.
Keep it classy.
Nobody classy anymore. I mean, we need. We're in a world of James Corden. Do you know what I mean? This is, German 1980. Have you ever read 1984 by George Orwell?
Yes.
There's a famous scene where the protagonist, Winston Smith, is being tortured by the antagonist, the villain, a guy called O'Brien.
Okay.
Of the inner party. And basically O'Brien's looking to break as well and sort of get him to conform to the system, etc.
Yes.
And he says, like, we're going to win and you may give up because this is the future, And he says, like, if you want to imagine a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping in a human face forever. It's a famous quote. The vision of the future is just his moon-like face.
James Corden.
Do that face again. Just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
He just turns around.
Yeah.
The
See,
eagle
that
has landed.
I mean, if the decline of man is James Corden,
I hated that Smithy character. They could have got rid of that in Gavin and Stacey.
Smithy has many insufferable moments in that show, but one of the most insufferable moments, I don't know if you ever remember this, I think it was in the early days when Gavin was going up to Wales to visit Stacey's family, and they were having like a Friday night in or something like that, and they decided to get a carry out.
Yeah.
And then, like, Smithy was complaining about things being done a certain way, and I thought, you're not being funny, you're just horrible. Your character's horrible.
Yeah.
If I was, one of the other guys, I'd be like, Smithy, do one.
Yeah.
You're horrible, man.
But the parents love him, Another thing I hated about Gavin and Stacey about Smithy's character was he got to wrestle Sheridan Smith, who was like playing his sister.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about that. Actually,
that was strange. Yeah, the two of that.
She's in a new production of The Railway Children this summer, apparently.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I heard a feature about this on Radio 4 this morning.
Yeah. I was talking about productions. I'm into the productions of the War of the Worlds, and there's like a virtual reality thing. It must be at a theme park or something now, but it's a complete immersive War of the Worlds. So you're like, I don't know. So that's quite good.
So, talking of virtual reality, do you think there's any traction in the metaverse? Do you think it's going to be a thing?
I think it's going to be a monumental flop.
I was very unimpressed by the graphics. I saw this thing where Zuckerberg was kind of doing a presentation on it. Is
with this woman? And she's, hi Mark, this is what we're going to have in the metaverse.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah. Oh, then we're going to have this.
And it was all about like, you can do like virtual meetings and stuff like that. But I saw the graphics and I was like, are you serious, mate? Is that it? It's like, you what, mate? Like that meme, you what, mate?
There's already stories about people being touched up in the metaverse.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I saw a documentary about it recently. Because, this is what, the Zoomers... Because this is what the Zoomers do. Because there's a whole world you don't know about. Like, do you remember back in the old days, you had like chat rooms and stuff?
Yeah.
It's like that, only it's all virtual reality, and people have these avatars, and they go like nightclubbing and stuff. And, they go to chill out rooms, and it's bizarre because they're like, you'd be like, the idea is, say you go to bed, right, and you want to be with your chums in the chill out room, you have this dopey headset on, and you're like, chilling out in the chill out room, only you could be like hundreds of miles away, sort of way. It's bizarre. But like, there's inappropriate behaviour and stuff going on. It's just, I just can't. It's like, I don't know, it's very worrying, all this.
You remember the VR episode of Red Dwarf?
Yeah.
It was called Back to Reality, where they all think that they're playing a video game. Yeah. Anyway, the last story today was about posts that haven't been delivered for 100 years. I love a story about mail being late delivered. I recently received a Christmas card, only 4 months late, but this one story maybe does win the award for lateness. It seemed like a normal autumn or fall morning when Brittany Keach looked in her mailbox to see the usual array of junk mail, flyers, But suddenly she noticed something a bit different. The mailbox contained a postcard with a faded 1-cent George Washington stamp on it. The front of the postcard showed a Halloween illustration, including a cat, pumpkin, witch, owl, and broomstick, bearing the question, which would you rather be, a goose or a pumpkin head? 100 years ago, that was humorous. Brittany went on the quest to find out the family that the postcard should have been sent to, employing the help of a genealogist to trawl through the 1920 census before discovering a Roy McQueen who lived at the same address back in the day. A spokesman for UPS said that lost letters from years ago seldom reappear, but wonders if the letter got lost behind a baseboard, a crack in the floorboard, or a piece of machinery in an old post office that has recently been renovated. So there you go, post turning up. Maybe that's going to be our new thing. It used to always be large vegetables. Maybe it's now going to be post turning.
We do have these kind of memes,
yeah.
And people that always like Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato always comes up. Yes,
always pops up for some reason, you know.
Yeah, I couldn't name a song by her. I have no. Is she a singer? Is she an actress?
She's a singer, or
right.
they're a singer. Sorry.
There. Okay, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.